Welcome to Pour the Wine, It's Rom-Com Time, where we'll sip some wine and review all things rom-com on the Hallmark Channel. I'm Amy.
And I'm Gary.
And it's time to pour the wine.
And guess who's on it?
Who's on it?
G-Studs.
G-Studs on it. You're pouring the wine. We're pouring a Cabernet Sauvignon.
Yes, Sauvignon.
Josh?
It's a Josh,
Going for
y'all.
Josh tonight.
Did you hear me? I said it's a Josh, y'all.
Oh, I see what you did there. I see what you did there. So while you're finishing up pouring and before we dive into our review of the second episode of The Chicken Sisters, I wanted to mention that at the beginning of every review of a TV series, we won't go over every single actor or actress every single time.
Correct.
So when we reviewed the first episode, we went over several, but not everybody.
Correct.
That was in the first episode. So today we're going to finish up that list. And then as more people pop on to episodes, we'll just give the information about those actors or actresses and not go over everybody. Sound good?
Sounds good to me.
We're not leaving anybody out. We're not trying to leave anybody out, but we also don't want to be redundant and go over everybody every single time.
Yeah, it's a lot.
So...
Well, make sure you follow us on your favorite podcast platform so you don't miss an episode.
Yes, please do that.
And if you listen on Apple or Spotify, you can also leave us a review. And guess what?
What?
Hopefully it's a 5-star review.
I hope. Fingers crossed it's a 5-star.
Please, pretty please. So, talking about actors and actresses, who are we adding today on that list?
All right, let's dive in. We have several, but this will probably be the longest list that we'll have moving forward.
Well, if it's going to be a long list, I'm going to take me a sip of wine. How about that?
Take a sip of wine. All right, let's dive in. Karina Bism plays Mimi at the very beginning of episode 1. So she's the one like the late 19th century Mimi. She was in Hallmark's Love and Jane in 2024, and she was in one episode of The Flash in 2018.
Ooh, Flash.
Hey, The Flash.
Yeah.
France Maurice plays Franny from the late 19th century also.
The late 19th century.
It's hard. I don't know exactly what year that was. I can't remember. I should have written that down. I'm sorry. 1893, 19...
Something.
No, I think it was late.
We're
19th
terrible.
century, not early. All right. So anyway, we'll get it next time. This is her 6th acting gig, and 4 of them were shorts.
Oh, really?
And then she was in one episode of The Good Doctor in 2023.
I'm noticing a lot of these.
So 4 of them were short. She was in The Good Doctor, and now she's in
this one,
Chicken Sisters. Thank you. My brain went blank. Too much wine, maybe.
That's all right. You haven't had a sip yet, but I have.
Jake Foy plays Kenneth, which is May's childhood boyfriend.
Yes.
I guess when she was like a teenager. And you know what he was in?
Or best friend, yeah. What?
He was in The Wish Swap. He played Henry.
Get out of here.
I know.
Oh,
I didn't. It's so funny because when I was doing the research for this, to go over this today, I was like, oh my gosh. So he was part of...
No. Love you, Eric.
You got to say it again in 2025.
Or is it love
he
you,
was in The
Eric?
Wish Swap. He kind of looks the same but different. I don't know. It's weird.
We both kept going, he looks familiar.
He looks so familiar. Duh. Sorry, Jake.
Yes,
he was also in Confessions of a Christmas Letter in 2024, A Little Daytime Drama in 2021, Love in Store in 2020, and the Ride series in 2023, 10 episodes of that. And those are all Hallmark.
Oh, okay.
He was also in a series called Wilderness. He was in 3 episodes of that. That was on Prime in 2023, and we watched that. It's where the woman realizes her husband or her boyfriend is cheating on her, and they go to like the wilderness literally, and the girl shows up.
Right.
Do you remember that? Vaguely. Yeah. It's been a couple years. So yeah. He was in 3 episodes of that also.
Okay.
Archie Condola plays Gordo, the cameraman, for Kitchen Clash. Okay. I didn't see any other Hallmark work for him. Hopefully I didn't miss it, but he is in all 8 episodes of The Chicken Sisters. So maybe he has a future with Hallmark. You never know. He was in the series How to Die Alone, 6 episodes in 2024. That was on Hulu.
Okay.
He was in another series, 6 episodes of Our Big Punjabi Family, which you can find on Apple TV and Prime. He was in the movie Easter Sunday in 2022 with Joe Coy, the comedian.
Yes.
We've watched a few of his specials. Yes. So, yeah, hopefully I didn't miss any Hallmark work that he's done.
Well, so
I apologize.
we apologize.
Right.
Up front.
Seymour Salem plays Jay, May's fiance.
Okay.
And from what I can tell, Chicken Sisters is his only Hallmark show or movie that he's been in, and he is in all 8 episodes. He was in 1 episode of Yellow Jackets in 2023.
Okay.
An episode of NCIS in 2023.
All right.
The Handmaid's Tale and The Boys. He was in 2 episodes of The Handmaid's Tale in 2021 and then The Boys in 2020, which we watched.
Yes.
We watched like the first season.
Yeah, maybe the second season too, which was probably better than the first season.
Probably. Yeah. Right.
But again, you're not into those type of shows. So
no, but I thought that was interesting. That was an interesting take on superheroes.
Yeah,
it was. Special powers for the...
if you could have a special power, what would it be?
That's a good question. Be able to tell the winning lottery numbers.
Oh, that's a good.
That would be my special power, knowing the lottery numbers before they're drawn. I think that would be.
I'm with you.
What about you? What would your special power?
Mine would be that too. So every time
you'd ride on my coattails.
Every time the lottery got to 500 million or $1 billion, we were like, winning numbers.
Winning. Yeah, we wouldn't do it all the time. We'd let other people win.
No, we'd do it all the time and then give the money out.
Oh,
give it away.
Okay.
That's what I would do.
Okay, moving on. Andrew J. Hampton plays Patrick, Kenneth's husband.
Okay.
It looks like Chicken Sisters is his premiere for Hallmark also.
All right.
He was in 1 episode of the series Blockbuster, which I think was a comedy. We didn't see that. And So Help Me Todd in 2022. And he was also in The Flash, 3 episodes of The Flash in 2020.
Wow, there's a lot of people in Flash.
The Flash. Kelsey Mawima plays Lizzie. Sabrina, who is the host of Kitchen Clash. It's her teen daughter, and she is not excited at all to be in a small town.
Yes, a small town.
You're supposed to say no. What was that? Yes.
Yes, queen.
Oh my gosh. Okay. She was in 17 episodes of Superman and Lois.
Oh, okay.
From 2021 to 2024. She was in all 3 of Netflix's To All the Boys I've Loved Before movies in 2018, 2020, and 2021, which we did not see, but which were very popular.
Yes.
We missed those. And she was also in My Life with the Walter Boys. That was on Netflix. She was in 3 episodes of that. Do you remember that one?
Yes,
we did watch that one.
We did watch that one. That one was pretty good,
about the girl who's growing up in New York City, and they're very wealthy, and then her parents pass away, and she goes to live in the country with her mom's best friend and her family.
Right.
So that was kind of cute. So anyway, so Kelsey, she was in that. Also 3 episodes of that one.
Okay.
Cardi Wong plays Jen. I'm not quite sure what he's got going on with Gus yet.
Yeah, we need to talk about that because
He's a townsperson, right? He's a Merrimack townsperson, and something's going on between him and Gus, but we're not
quite sure yet. They haven't revealed it.
They haven't revealed it. He has been in a ton of Hallmark movies. Tip Line Mysteries, Dial 1 for Murder in 2024, The Gift of Peace in 2022, A Season for Family in 2023, Christmas for Keeps. He has a long list of Hallmark movies, and his very first one that I found was a movie called All of My Heart in 2015, and that one was with Lacey Chabert and Brennan Elliott, and we just watched that one.
Yes, we did.
Where she inherits half the house.
Yes.
And he does too. So, yeah, that was kind of cool. We just watched that. I found that was interesting.
Awesome.
He was in an episode of Lucifer in 2017 and
really like
A Million Little Things in 2020. Yes, we really like Lucifer
Those
also.
People get some really good gigs, don't they? Yeah.
Sydney Quisnell, I think, plays teen Amanda. Her Hallmark debut was in Leah's Perfect Gift in 2024. She played the sister.
Yes.
Yes.
She did.
You act like You're just agreeing with me. Yes, she did. She was also in one episode of Superman and Lois in 2023.
Ooh, so another Superman and Lois,
I know,
huh?
it's like a repeat of some things.
Yeah.
Haley Hansen plays Teen May.
Okay.
Her first acting credit is in 2024. And The Chicken Sisters is her first Hallmark production.
Good for her.
Good for her. Yeah, it's pretty
Yes,
cool.
It is.
Marley Walchuk plays Dot, one of the gossipy townspeople.
Mm.
Her Hallmark debut was in Making Spirits Bright in 2021. She was recently in So Help Me Todd. She was in 4 episodes of that series. And she was in 1 episode of that new series, Animal Control.
Oh, yeah.
I think it's in its 2nd season, right?
Yeah, we
It's
watched a
kinda
couple.
quirky and funny.
We watched
It
a
was
couple
little
of
funny.
episodes.
Yeah.
It was good.
Liza Huget plays Pearl, the other gossipy townsperson with Dot. She's been in a lot of Hallmark productions. She was actually in An Unexpected Valentine, which was part of...
I love you, Mary.
You get to say it again. I didn't think you were going to get to say it so many times. In 2025, she was the instructor. So I'm guessing, would that have been the art instructor? Where they were painting the...
Right.
She was just listed as an instructor, so... maybe that was her.
Yeah.
She was in Signed, Sealed, Delivered, A Tale of 3 Letters in 2024. And in 2021, she was in 3 Christmas movies on the Hallmark Channel, The Santa Stakeout, A Christmas Together with You, and Christmas for Keeps. And she, too, was also in an episode of The Good Doctor.
Oh, wow.
And also Riverdale.
Oh.
Which we really liked.
Yeah, that's a long time ago, Riverdale.
Yep. And that's a wrap for what I have for today.
Ooh, that was a lot.
Phew,
Good job on that.
Take a breath, take a sip.
Wow. Hey, before we get started,
Okay.
I have another trivia question.
Oh,
for
gosh. Okay, trivia.
You. Okay.
And I'm not going to know
This is Hallmark.
Trivia. Okay.
So, in what year did Hallmark Hall of Fame become the first sponsored program ever presented in color?
That's a good question. Can you do the Jeopardy music? Let me think. I really don't know.
1953.
Okay, I didn't. Oh my gosh, that was actually in my head. I swear to you. I swear to you.
Well, hey, you know what?
But I didn't want to sound stupid because I don't really know when color came.
I know.
I was trying to think of when was the first colored, televised
Yeah, it's weird. Right?
Show. I don't even know. That's something to look up. That's very interesting. So 1953, huh?
Yeah.
All right, cool. That was a nice little tidbit of trivia.
Yeah, I'm going to give you some every once in a while.
Okay.
Before we get started.
We're going to go with Hallmark trivia. Sounds good.
All right. So today we're reviewing the 2nd episode of The Chicken Sisters. We're on the same team, y'all, which aired on Sunday, April 6, 2025. If you missed it, you can catch it all or you can catch all of the episode on Hallmark Plus.
How much wine have you had
I
so
had
far?
2 sips.
You had 2 sips so far. Not too much to get you over the edge today.
So it's time to drop the synopsis on
all righty, here we go.
2.
We're on the same team, y'all.
I'm
just gonna like saying those.
I know. It's fun.
As Kitchen Clash begins filming, tensions between Franny's and Mimi's restaurants and sisters Amanda and May and their mother Gus are running high. That was a very brief description for a very full episode.
Yeah.
Didn't you think?
Another one that has a lot to unpack.
A lot to unpack, yeah.
So what did you think of this episode?
Well, I thought the episode, like you just said, there is so much to unpack. Again, we're just, it's sort of like we're peeling back an onion with the layers of these characters, which I really like. And not having read the book, I mean, we have no idea what their background is or what's going to happen or, what's going on. So, in this episode, we really get insight into Nancy Hillier, her childhood. And I'm still, I'm a little confused and I probably need to do research on this. And so forgive me because I haven't, but did she marry into the Hillier family or was she a Hillier, born a Hillier?
I think that's a good question.
I know.
Because was it her husband that owned Franny's?
We don't know. Because
No, it was her. She was born. She was born because the scene where they talk about they're supposed to act when they were
Yes.
younger.
Yes.
So she was born.
But that could have been, you could also take that from the outside looking in. Like if you're a Hillier,
Right.
you act a certain way.
Right.
And she would hear like her mom and her mom's friend discuss the Moors, gossip about the Moors.
Right.
And, you're prim and proper. So that's why I was still just a little bit confused. So maybe we'll get a little bit more. But at any rate, they kind of review her childhood up through her marriage, and it's brief, but you do really get a lot of insight into her. And we also see the beginning of the competition show taping and sort of the shady side of reality. And we see Sabrina getting some information, using it to her advantage.
Oh yeah.
Which she knows will hurt someone's feelings and it will cause tension. It will be better reality TV. And we know that happens, but it kind of sucks when you see it.
Darn those reality TV shows.
And then, you have the continued up and down relationship of May and Amanda, and then each between the two of them.
Yes.
And then each one of them with their relationship with their mom.
Right.
I mean, this all plays out in this episode, which is it just blows my mind. Plus, you see both Amanda and May struggling and recognizing their faults, trying to change, but then inevitably falling back into the same patterns. And I think we all struggle with that to some degree. You know what's wrong and you try to change it, but then it's just so easy to slip back.
It's always
so
easy.
Like you said, I mean, there's been a lot packed in these 2 episodes, but I mean, it's working, but there are so many layers to it, and I'm really digging it. What about you?
No, I kind of had the same point of views that you just mentioned. I did think that this episode, focused a lot on Nancy, and you get a sense of why she acts the way she does.
Right.
Because she grew up in a time where it was a man's business, and the woman stayed in the kitchen and cooked. But I thought that was really interesting.
Well, you let the man shine. You didn't take any of the spotlight away.
You didn't take any of the spotlight. And if you did, you were berated and
right. You just looked
made
pretty.
to feel cheap or whatever.
Smart. Right.
But and that brings in the dynamic between her and her son, right?
Right.
Because Sabrina, of course, the reality TV host, she plays on that, right?
Yes,
so she uses it. And, Frank Jr., he's all like, like a little child, he goes running off, but she feels sorry, but then the camera hits her and she gets right into it. So like you were saying, she tries to get out of that rut, but then she falls right back into it. But one thing I did notice, how come there's never anybody in Mimi's restaurant? But there's always somebody in Franny's restaurant.
That's a good question. Maybe it's just timing, and it's before lunch or after dinner. And I don't know. It's a good question.
Chicken, is it that bad?
That's a good question and a good observation. I don't know.
I just threw
it could just be a timing thing. I mean, it kind of go along with what you were talking about with Nancy. What you said, like she doesn't want the spotlight, but the spotlight kind of gravitates towards her, and she's trying to allow her son to have it because she knows he really wants it.
Right.
Like he wants to be in front of the camera and he wants to be the face, but he's not real good at it at all. He freezes in front of the camera. He's terrible. And then he gets upset, and her phrases are still I need to start keeping a log of the phrases.
That'd be a big log.
What, she really dills my pickle. And she said that in the first episode. And then she said, Junior, you've had a bee in your bonnet all day. When he's upset about the camera and don't pee on my leg and tell me it's raining.
I love that.
When she says that to the cameraman, so maybe we do need to keep a log of Nancy-isms.
Yes.
I wonder if those are all in the book, because that would be too funny. I might have to read the book.
But I also liked how they started bringing the 2 teenagers into the spotlight with the scene where they're walking
with Frankie and Lizzie.
Yes. The grab and go.
Oh, the grab.
I thought that was, you're starting, like you said, they're peeling back the layers, and we're starting to get some more information on each of these characters. So
right, and you can kind of see, since you brought up the teens, the interaction. Like Frankie, she kind of, even though she's a surly teenager with her mom,
right,
she does the right thing. She's sort of a good girl.
Yep.
She, there's not a lot of room for mischief there because everybody knows everybody.
I know, in a
which
small town.
Which is good and bad.
Yes.
I would have to believe. And then Lizzie comes in and just hates everything. You know, she just hates her life, thinks it's too small town. And then, of course, immediately has the fake ID and tries to buy alcohol. And then they get into trouble. And so,
There's always one.
It's a good
There's
dynamic
always
between
one.
the two.
There's the leader and then there's the follower.
But, you know, when they're that age, it wouldn't matter where you went.
Right.
You know, a teenager's going to be mad whether it's country or you're in the city and she's got to, you know, do things with her mom. I mean, and I know there are good teenagers out there. I get it.
Yes, there are.
Before I hear that,
I was one. Wink,
okay. Wink. But you're not a girl. I know there are mothers and daughters who have great relationships with their daughters when they're teens. You know, and I did at times, but there were some contentious times, you know?
Yeah.
And so I get it.
Yeah.
I totally get it from the parents' standpoint, but it gets better.
Yeah,
you know, I describe it as you're kind of together when they're little and then you break up when they're teens and then you get back together once they become adults. So that was our evolution anyway. And I think it's the same for a lot of people, and if you are someone who has a great relationship with your daughter all through her teen years, I am jealous. Congratulations. I'm envious. I'm very envious.
So what was some of your favorite scenes?
Gosh, I would have to think about that for a second.
Yeah.
Do you have what were some of your favorite scenes?
There was one scene that I really like, and it's when the camera was going back and forth between, I think it was Amanda, Nancy, and Gus putting on makeup. And
yes. Amanda, Nancy. Okay. Right.
And then it gets to, and it might have been May too. And it gets to Gus in the end, and she's not putting makeup on. She's got a garden hose, and she's watering herself down in the face.
You know what? That's so funny. I didn't even.
That was funny.
That is that's a good. There are moments like that throughout the episodes that just bring the humor in, and you know, you saying that about Gus. If I had to pick a favorite scene, I think it would probably be where she cooks for May.
Yes, that was.
And really the narration during that, because, you know, she's this, I mean, I like any scene she's in because, you know, like when she says, unless you are the police or my dead mama, you are never to call me Augusta again. You know, and I just thought that was she comes up with these one-liners too. She's got them too. So I need
down to earth,
I need a Gus and a Nancy Log is what I need.
Yep.
But I just, anytime she's in a scene, just her character, you know, she has this tough, hard exterior. And then when they have the scene where May was there and she's happy May's there, and, you know, and then the narration says, you know, she shows her love through food. She may not tell you all the time, and she's not smiling all the time. And then she cooks dinner. And then when she leaves, you know, they eat, they have a good dinner, and they, you know, of course, when they show her cooking, I thought that was really cool. And then, you know, when she's done with dinner and May and Kenneth are still sitting at the table, and Gus gets up to leave, she hesitates and she says, "Thank you, you know, for coming." And it's so hard for her to say, but she gets it out. And when she walks away, May and Kenneth, the way they kind of look at each other, and doesn't he say something like, "Did she just say thank you?"
Yeah, he said, "We got to get another bottle of champagne." Cheers.
So I thought that was sort of a, you know, a crack in the exterior that we got to see. So, you know, she's a tough exterior, but maybe a little bit. Yeah. She has a heart. She just doesn't show it the way most people do.
Well, let's talk about her and Jen real quick.
Her and, okay.
Jen.
Okay.
I'm thinking it's Jen, but.
Yes.
So what do you think's going on?
I don't have any idea.
I don't think it's like an affair. I think it's more like she knows she needs help. Maybe he's counseling her. I don't know.
Yeah, or maybe
because we don't know what he does.
She's praying. Maybe he's a pastor or something. Or I don't think it's an affair.
No.
But I'm kind of baffled by that a little bit. I mean the closet scene though, the pantry or wherever they were in the restaurant when Sergio opens the door and
like,
Gus and Jen are in wherever they are, and she's like, "Close the door," and they're kind of like holding hands or something. So that's what makes me think maybe.
Well, she's a Moor, so the show's kind of making you feel like,
that's a good point
because
too.
She's a Moor, she's
rebellious, and she does things that aren't on the up and up.
But I don't think she is. I don't think
no. And he kind of says something when they're sitting in the truck too, like it's Gus and Jen.
Yes,
and he alludes to the fact that she's come out of her comfort zone
Right.
with things. So it must not be nefarious, but
Yes.
it kind of looks that way. But that's a good question.
Yeah. Well, I'd say
Well,
so.
yeah, I'd say so. I also liked when, this is just totally random, when Sabrina, the host of Kitchen Clash, says when her daughter doesn't want to go with Frankie, and she's like, just go do random teens together.
I know.
Because her
right?
daughter's like, she's just a random teen.
I
She's
know.
like, well, go do random teens together. Teens are so, because when kids are little, they'll usually play with anybody and just,
Right.
might come out of their shell a little bit. But teens are just, oof.
It's crazy, right?
Yeah.
But you know what else is funny is when going back to the scene where the kids get busted by the town sheriff,
Yes.
and then Amanda and Sabrina, Sergio drives them to pick the girls up, and the sheriff is kind of giving them a speech about how dare you kids do this, and it's against the law. And then Amanda goes, I remember back in high school when you
weren't so perfect. Yeah.
So it just reminds me of when, as a teenager, me and my best friend Marvin, we used to do stuff like that,
Or, yeah.
where we
yeah.
go to a bar. We like to listen to bands, so we would go to a bar and, I'm not going to confess, but we'd had a good time. We got in.
Yeah.
We
And
got
whether
in.
you were of age or not, you got in. Things you wouldn't tell your kids so they couldn't use
Right.
it against you.
But it is funny how they try to tell us they're doing something new, but no, you're not.
I know.
It's
I
already
know.
been
They
done.
think we
it's already
don't
been done.
know and have never experienced it.
You didn't know we snuck out. Oh, yeah.
Yes, we did.
Yes, we did.
That's why you got caught.
So, you know what else? Shauna wasn't in this episode.
No,
Did you-
Shawnee. Is
Or
it
Shauna?
Shawnee?
Shauna, I think it is.
Okay, I'm sorry.
She wasn't in this episode.
She was not.
And she was such a big part in the first one. She was so funny. She was the humor. You know what I mean?
She was. Well, maybe. Hopefully, she's going to be back. I didn't look to see
I know
how many
she will be.
episodes she's in, but yeah, she'll be back. Can we talk about May for a minute too? The evolution of her during this episode, it's like she, took 5 steps forward but 10 steps back.
Right.
Because she was really trying. She recognized that she's bossy, and that works to her advantage and to other people's advantage too, to have someone who's organized and, type A personality and needs things a certain way, but then they can go too far, which she does. And she recognizes that. And I like this scene where Amanda's, kind of confronting her, and May's like, yeah, you're right. I am. And, and Amanda's like, oh,
okay.
Okay. And they get along for a little bit. I kind of like that. And then she knows her fault. She's trying to overcome it. And then she finds out Amanda told Sabrina what her first actual job was, and that kind of ruins it in the moment. So, and then she just reverts back, goes back into the anger that she felt, the hatred she has for the town. So I think this is just an interesting play on her character and kind of where she's going to go.
But it goes back to, the reality TV host taking advantage of because Amanda was, she was opening up, and she didn't realize she was being filmed, and she didn't do it on purpose. She didn't do it
was an accidental accidental talent.
but
I do that sometimes.
They use it.
Yeah. I mean, how many times have you done that where you've said something and
you're like,
I mean, I did that recently with somebody where I said something and then the other person responded basically because they didn't know what I was talking about, and I assumed they knew, and it wasn't that big of a deal, but it was like, oh, sorry, I didn't do it on purpose. It just happened. So sometimes that just, and if May would have owned it from the beginning, it wouldn't have been an issue anyway.
Right.
Everybody works. She was working. She was making money. She was putting herself through, school or wherever.
And the funny thing is she can use that. She's ashamed of where she came from and how she grew up. But look where she ended up. I mean, she made something out of herself. So she could use it that way. I would do it. I'd be like,
this is where I started.
This is what made me.
Yeah, I worked hard. I worked my tail off. Pun intended with the fact that she worked at Donkeys. But it's see what I did there? All right.
I saw what you did.
One more thing that I want to say about Nancy is we already sort of talked about her coming around to the fact that she's good in front of the camera. And I I did like towards the end where she looks at the footage of herself and she realizes she is worthy and she is good and it is okay for her to be in the front and center. It doesn't mean she's dissing everybody else, but it's kind of cool to see her come into that after all the years of, being behind her husband, so to speak, being behind her son, letting others take the spotlight. But she has opinions too.
Yeah,
and I'm looking forward to a lot more one-liners from her.
and that was just after Junior, made her feel terrible.
Oh,
about
that's
herself.
right. Yes, and he told she was embarrassing.
Yeah.
And that was awful. That was awful.
And-
I hope he comes around by the end. I don't know if he does or not, but
I don't know. He's got a lot of work to do.
he's got some work to do. Yes,
But good for Gordo to say the camera loves you.
yes.
Don't be
Yes.
afraid. It
Well, they
loves
want
you.
good TV too.
Well, true,
Yeah,
but
they're looking at good TV too, right?
yeah,
Right.
So
Yeah. So that was out of 5 corks. What would you give that episode?
I'm gonna give this one a 5, just because we're getting a little bit more of each character. They're starting to play off of each other, and
Yes.
So I give it a 5. What about you?
I would have to say the same. I have to give this episode another 5, 5 corks. Like we talked about earlier, I just feel like we're just, the layers are just peeling back and you're seeing more and then the layers go back up and then they peel back some more. And I just think they're doing a brilliant job of the character development.
Yeah.
And that's, kind of a weird angle or more, but it's just, I'd have to give it a 5 corks for sure. And I'm looking forward to episode number 3.
I know. I can't wait.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
is this a wrap?
That is a wrap.
All right. Well, thanks for listening. Be sure to follow the podcast wherever you listen so you don't miss one. Also, follow us on social media. If you really, really like the show and are listening on Apple Podcasts or Spotify, leave a 5-star review.
First. Leave it first.
Okay, I've had 3 sips of wine now.
You're on number 3.
And if you didn't really, really like the show, you can still leave a 5-star review.
Definitely leave a 5-star review.
Yes. Anything lower is just mean.
Just mean. No, it's all right.
Nah, just kidding.
Leave whatever your opinion is,
Be
but
honest,
hopefully
be
it's a
honest.
5-star review.
She's the star of the show. I'm
Right.
not. That's okay.
Join us next Tuesday when we review episode number 3. This is War, y'all, which will air on Sunday, April 13th, 2025 on the Hallmark Channel. Be sure to also tune in on Wednesdays for our Hallmark movie reviews. Until then, fill up your glasses and push play. Thanks for listening. Cheers.